Hello, friends of the gathering. My name is Andrew Miller. I lead a locker room group at the gathering. Recently, Jeff Pinkleton asked me to share a little bit about what I've learned during this time. Um, Working from home now, I work at a mission agency, but currently we are working from home. And obviously, our activities changed a little bit and have some concerns as we rely on donor dollars, how the economy's going, what we're going to be doing in the near future, what our work will look like. And during this time, there's been some good things that have happened working from home, being with my family. My wife also works from home, being with my kids a bit more. There's been some good aspects. There's also been some challenges and some difficult uh, things that's brought on as we try and work out both working from home and having kids here. So I wanted to share a little bit, though, during this time as I thought about it, is a lot about our identity and is this changing anything of our identity? What's happening? They say that life is 5% of what happens to you and 95% how you react to it. Um, and that's got me thinking during this time because this has obviously caused a reaction in us, this event. So I wanted to start out with looking at Jesus's words in Matthew 7 about the wise and the foolish builders. In verse 24, it says, "Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash." If you can imagine two houses built on the shore, one of them on a rock and another one on sand, and if that storm came, the activity would look very different between the two homes. The person who built his house on the rock, their activity would be different from the one who built his house on the sand. Um, and so I would ask, as I look at myself and I look at this time, how has my identity changed? What is my life built upon? If my life is built upon my actual activity, what I do, what my hands are actually doing, that would create some difficulty during this time because it's changed and it may change in the future. But if my identity is in Christ and I'm a son of the King, well, Christ doesn't change no matter what the season is, no matter what the weather is. If that's my identity, then it may change my activity, what I'm doing, but it wouldn't change my mission in life, what my purpose is, what my vision is, where I'm going. It'll only change how I do that, my strategy. When I think of it, that many of you may have businesses, some of us are in ministry, and you're not sure what the future looks like. If you built your life upon your actual business, that might get a little difficult because depending what you do, you may not have that business tomorrow or in the future. But if your mission in life is something deeper, that you can do it in spite of the circumstances around you, you're going to be able to withstand these times much more because you have something more important than just your activity that you're doing. And I think that's very important to understand as we go through this and as we come out of this season is, did I learn something from this time, from these days, sheltering in place? Have I grown at all, or has my life kind of collapsed? They say the rate of suicide during this time has gone up significantly. The depression that people are facing has really taken a strong uptick. People who have struggles like who may be addicted to opioids or something. I can't imagine what their life would be like right now during this time. And obviously, we each have our own struggles that we go through, and there's difficulties with this. But if we have something bigger that our focus is on, than just our daily activity, something more important, then really what changes is our strategy. It may be a difficult change, it may be a scary change. You think of what God promised Abraham in Genesis 17. It says, I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you, and kings will come forth from you. I will establish my covenant between me and you and your descendants after you throughout their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be God to you and to your descendants after you. I will give to you and to your descendants after you the land of your sojournings, all the land of Canaan, an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. Um, Things have changed a lot since that day, but God's promise still exists. It's interesting because I don't know if you know, but the word quarantine actually means 40. That's where the word quarantine in Latin comes from. And what's 40 mean? Well, if you remember, Jesus was tempted for 40 days. He fasted for 40 days. 40 days Moses stayed on Mount Sinai to receive the commandments. The flood lasted 40 days. So many things that I'm just looking at this list. Exodus lasted 40 years. So many things in the number 40. And if you take the time from when we started this order that our governor here in Ohio gave, DeWine, when it started until May 1st, if you include that Monday, the evening when it started, that'd actually be 40 days from beginning to end. 39 if you start it from Tuesday. So I don't know if that's divine providence or not, but my question is, after this 40 days, what's going to look different? I mean, a lot of theologians feel that the number 40 represents change. So many of these things that I mentioned here, there was a change that took place after the 40 days. So what's changing for you and me? What's changing? Will it be something good? Is something new on the horizon? I don't know, but I think it's important that we look at this and consider what is changing in our lives, what's God's doing. His promise isn't changing, and our mission shouldn't change. We're a son of the King. We are sons of the King, and we're going to advance his kingdom no matter what else. But how we do things could change from here on out. We need to welcome that change and trust God with everything that comes along. That's a challenge for me, and I believe for the church today. Appreciated sharing this with you. Thank you very much.